Reddit, what's the dumbest reply to a serious question you've heard? I was a nanny when I was in college for this very bizarre family who always pretended like I wasn't there. I was walking down the street with the mother and her 2 kids. It was February and the sun glare was really bad, so naturally, I was wearing sunglasses. One of the kids, about 4, asked his mother why I was wearing sunglasses in winter, and the mother responds, "Well, some people are not that smart and they just want to look cool." Please note, both parents were professors at an Ivy League college. I actually remember my mom making a similar snarky comment. We were in the car, sunny cold winter day. Saw a couple with sunglasses. And she said STH along the lines of "I don't get it, people wearing sunglasses in winter." I looked up and said, "Sunglasses protect against the sun, not the heat." Her face went then like that makes sense. Wait, people actually think it's just for the heat? Was in college, and went to the calculus study hall to see if I could learn something. One of the problems was something like a man throws a ball on the moon at a speed of 30 mph at an angle of y degrees. How long before the ball comes down? The response from the TA, PhD candidate in math, "That's a stupid question, everyone knows there's no gravity on the moon." I never went back. I'm an astronomer. Before we were married, my soon-to-be wife asked me, "How can there be dust on the moon when there's no gravity?" I asked her in genuine curiosity what made her think there was no gravity on the moon. She closed her eyes and went, "Oh, duh." She keeps bringing it up years afterwards despite my continued reassurance that there are no dumb questions, but she doesn't believe me. I love that woman. Yeah, sometimes your brain works off patterns and you think moon is in space. Space has 0 gravity. Moon has no gravity. We all say or think dumb things every now and then. Give people a second to think it over while you give them a warm funny stare. Explain it to them if they don't get it themselves. The only red flag is when people double down on their wrongness, shows they care more about winning than learning. Me writing a construction bid, "Is the standard flooring for these units going to be tile or vinyl?" The client, yellow. Love it when you give 2 answers as options and a third, unhelpful one pops up instead. My girlfriend has a habit of answering yes when I present her with 2 options. It usually means the first option. I often use the same response, but I'm just trying to confuse the person with the question. I swear. It's one of the few habits I picked up from that guy I married a long time ago. I very consistently get my wife with this one. Her, "Do you want coffee or tea?" Me, "Yes." My high school had a geography bee where one kid was asked what the capital of France was and he replied Spain. Oh man. When I was a kid, for some reason I thought Barcelona was in China. When I learned it was in Spain, it blew my mind. Same when I learned Egypt is in Africa. Haha, I thought they spoke Spanish in China. I think Spanish was the only other language I knew of, so I thought people spoke it wherever they didn't speak English. I used to think people from Belgium spoke a language called Belgiumese. In Flanders, we actually speak Flemish, which is actually a dialect of Dutch. But it greatly differs on a regional base. West Flemish, the one I speak, even having the elements to be considered a language instead of a dialect. Back in India, my company had hired a motivational speaker to give a speech at an event. There were 300-odd people with senior people of HR also in audience. Everyone was bored, but the lady instructor kept on going on how to build self-confidence. Sensing that people are not interested, she started getting audience involved. I, being a backbencher as always, did not care about it at all. I thought she would stay in front. I was feeling sleepy and not paying any attention to it. After some time I saw her coming to the back. She suddenly stopped next to me and asked me, "Are you motivated?" I was not sure what was going on. I answered, "No, I am Dave." Half of the crowd started laughing. She was taken aback by my answer and did not know how to respond to this. She did not come to the back to ask questions after that. Reminds me of this moment in my life. Are you competent? Normal day is a temp at a cable company call center, who also does internet, phone, and security at outrageously high prices. Yep. That one. You guessed it. Let's just call it Castcom for now. Me. Thank you for calling Castcom. My name is 678. How can I help you? Customer. Are you competent? Me. I'm sorry? See, I've spoke to 3 different people already and all of them are dumb. I need to know. Are you competent? Me, a smartass. No, ma'am. This is Castcom. In my high school physics class, the teacher asked what was the unit for time. This girl screamed kilograms. After that, you could see the teacher lost hope on all of us. You measure time in kilograms though. That's a fuck ton of time. Technically no, a kilogram. When accused of nepotism after giving his son an important role as a politician, Brazil's president said, "He has to be someone's son, why can't it be mine?" Truly an argument you can't fight back. I mean, what is nepotism really? It comes from the Italian word nipote, meaning nephew. It came from the practice of newly elected popes making their nephews cardinals of the church. Go back far enough, and we are all related, am I right? So why accuse me of it, just because you don't have to look that far back in the family tree? In physics there's something called the right-hand rule which helps you find the direction of force given the direction of the magnetic and electric fields. It's a little hard to explain how exactly, but you literally use your right hand as a model. My professor asked me in front of the class what the first thing you needed to identify in order to use the rule was. I panicked, and answered your right hand. I mean, you weren't technically wrong. Technically correct is the best correct? We kept it gray. In law school, we had a free clinic for qualifying and lower income people to come in. We couldn't technically advise them because we weren't barred yet, but we could guide and try to help them through some complex issues they might not have a handle on. One guy came in and wasn't even my case but being done by a classmate next to me during a session. The man, dead-faced and scared, would filing for bankruptcy ruin my life? Girl, flustered how to answer, well, it looks like your life is already pretty bad. This thread is supposed to be for stupid dancers, that one's golden. I would 100% trust an advisor who was willing to say that to me. No, you already did that. We were discussing about Antarctica and some guy casually said, "Stone cold face, you don't actually believe Antarctica is a real place, right?" Edit. Some PPL think it was a joke. I assure you it wasn't. That sounds like something a flat earther would say. Those that believe that Antarctica is actually a wall of ice surrounding everything, or the Dickrad just mixed it up with Atlantis, this or a regular dumb fuck. Full disclosure, I was the idiot in this conversation, but in my early 20s, I was at a friend's small gathering. I was chatting with my friend and some dude I had never met before. Asked where he grew up, and he said DC, to which I replied, "Oh, I didn't realize people actually lived there." I kind of knew it was stupid as it was coming out of my mouth. But I also kind of thought that was a district like a financial district and people went there for work but lived just outside of it. Worst part was that even though I was fresh out of college, I was working in a local political office, and these were folks from state legislative offices, so I should have known better. They laughed at me for a while. Sadly, a lot of people who move to the DMV think no one lives in DC, because they mean only super rich can live in Georgetown, and they forget that their working class servers, trash collectors, etc., are people. I know BC. I grew up in Nova and thought no one lived in DC for a long time. I recall being confused hearing about how DC schools were terrible. Why would there be schools if no one lives there? For everyone who doesn't know, DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Nova, Northern Virginia. Nova is also Northern Virginia Community College, which is actually a pretty good community college and a great jumping off point for heading into a better VA college if you don't have great high school grades. At work, a customer asked one of our chefs where the fish comes from. He pointed to the kitchen and said it just comes through that door. Edit. I'm editing so I don't have to reply to all. This guy is the kind of guy who wouldn't think to make a joke like that. He has an absolute heart of gold, but unfortunately, he is actually that thick. I once got asked by him if a pot of obviously boiling water was hot, and had to stop him from just dipping his hand in there when my sarcastic answer was to dip his finger in and check. Oh, and also, thanks for the silver. I dunno, sounds like a genius answer to me. Genius dad joke. I got a former friend a job at my workplace. She was seriously stressing, talking about how if she doesn't find a job, her ex might win the custody case, and take the kids, and she wasn't finding anything. So, I talked to my boss and got her position doing what I do. 1 week later she was supposed to go on her first call. She overslept by 4 hours and ended up missing the job. I called her as I was leaving to do the job she missed. I asked, "So, are you going to talk to our boss and see if he'll give you another chance?" She straight up went, "I don't think so." Oh well, wasn't meant to be. Girl, what? Side note, I work in the funeral business. The job was taking a body down to get an autopsy. The place where this particular person was getting one was over 2 hours away. We're supposed to be there at a certain time, otherwise, we spend all day there. Edit. This girl and I are no longer friends. Stupidly of me. The job wasn't what led me to sever ties. Along with not working, this girl had constant car troubles. At the time of the job, she had a working vehicle. I let her use my car because I had bought a new one and planned to sell the old one. We worked out a deal where she would babysit my 4-year-old in exchange for using my car to get her kids back and forth to school. A month into that, she can't babysit for me anymore and wasn't paying me to use my car. I repeatedly asked for my car back over the span of 3 months and she'd give me some kind of excuse every time. I ended up having to go over to her apartment, demand my keys, and then go back to get my car later. Last I heard, she still has her kids and was recently let go from a fast food restaurant for missing too many shifts. I was on a job and we needed to have a structural engineer to come in and look at one of the floors to make sure it was stable enough. So we asked the owner's daughter, who was supposedly a business major who was gonna take over her dad's company, if she had a contact number for the structural engineer her dad normally dealt with when having his buildings renovated. She looks at the three of us, me, my assistant superintendent and project manager, and goes, "Oh yeah. But he's busy working on my car at the moment." All three of us. What? Her. "Yeah, he's working on my engine in my car. Why do you guys need him? Engineers work on engines, not buildings." WTF. This is pretty much Buster's I think the blue stuff is land from the pilot episode of Arrested Development. Another great, similar joke. At a company board meeting, "Mom, Buster can run the company. He's taken economic classes." Buster, whoa, I've taken 18th century agrarian economic classes. But I'm sure the principles are all still the same. Tell me, are you guys worried about a peasant uprising? I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have a similar story, share it in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more. Have a great day, or night.